Call the meeting to order. We'll start as we always do with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Everyone has a copy of the agenda before them. Are there any changes that need to be made to the agenda? All right, seeing none, are there any objections to adopting it as presented? All right, then the agenda is adopted by unanimous consent. Moving on to the consent agenda. This is claim vouchers totaling $945,498.91. Is there any discussion? No questions. The chair will entertain a motion to approve the claims voucher. Commissioner Lawrence, seconded by Commissioner Teoflack. All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? The ayes have it. Moving on to approval of meeting minutes. This is the March 5th and March 12th working session. Are there any changes that need to be made? All right, hearing none. I'll ask for a motion to approve the meeting minutes for those two dates. All right, moved by Vice Chair Furnahoff. Is there a second? Seconded by Commissioner Wittes. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? All right, moving right along to public comment. Just a note tonight, there will be two sections of public comment. We will be having a public hearing regarding the fire benefit charge. So if you have public comments related to that, probably just wait for that hearing to open up and then you'll be able to address those. But if there's anyone that has public comments not related to the fire benefit charge that wishes to speak, raise your hand or signal online. All right. Seeing none, public comment is closed. We open public hearing for the fire benefit charge. This is the fire benefit charge draft resolution for discussion. Do we want to have the discussion and then the public comment afterwards, I would assume, so that the public can learn about it? All right. Why don't you give us your brief?
So here's in your packet on page 48, it's the draft resolution. And it's still in draft form. We still have potentially some edits from legal prior to the board taking final action. The intent of the resolution, based on the discussions that we've had with the board, is for the board to put a 10-year renewal of the benefit charge on the primary ballot for 2024. And it currently sits at a 10-year benefit charge. As the board's aware, it's a simple majority vote. The resolution is a resolution putting that, once the board takes action, we'll put that on the ballot for the August primary.
All right. Are there any questions for staff? All right, then before we go to vote on this, one quick question. I see a resolution, the resolution in here, but I don't see a resolution number. Do we need one of those to be able to? Okay. Oh,
So
so you're not looking for a vote on?
No,
it
so
tonight?
I guess I'll go and tell you the rest of the story so you know when we plan to bring this forward. So tonight's the public hearing as required by statute. When we put the renewal of the benefit charge before the voters, it requires the board to have a public hearing prior to doing that. That's what we're going to do tonight. And then moving forward, we're asking for consideration to make the 9th. Is that correct? 9th? Melissa, the 9th work session, a special meeting for the board to take action on the resolution, putting the ballot measure forward. That will allow staff to advertise for a pro-con committee, and then the meeting of the 16th of April for the board to seat the pro-con committee. And then that will allow staff to do the rest of the work required and have it to the county on or before close of business on May 3rd. So that's the rest of the process. And as you know, along with the resolution, is it the explanatory statement? So why don't you explain the other pieces that legal has to do on our behalf?
So commissioners, we have the resolution that you need to adopt. And then that includes the ballot title, which also needs to be submitted to the county. And then we appoint pro-con committees. And then we also have an explanatory statement, and all those things are due May 3rd.
That completes staff's report.
All right, any further questions? All right, then we will open up public hearing for the fire benefits charge resolution that is before us. Is there anyone wishing to make public comment? All right, seeing none, we will close the public hearing. All right, we look forward to the rest of the process. Moving on to the fire chief's report with Fire Chief Elvis.
Thank you, Chair. Good evening, commission, staff, and guests. I just have one item on my fire chief report for this evening. And commissioners, as you know, earlier this year, I informed you of my plans to retire in 2024. And also, as you are aware, I will be stepping down from my duties as fire chief on April 1st and will serve as a transitional consultant with the RFA until my retirement July 1st. I want to say the board has made an excellent decision in selecting Chief Eastman to serve as our next fire chief. I'm very confident he will continue to lead our organization in a very positive direction. It's been an honor and a privilege to serve the past 28 years, and I want to say thank you for the opportunity to lead South County Fire these past 4 years. Any of you that know me, even just a little bit, know that I never aspired to be the fire chief. But serving in the role has given me an even greater appreciation of the RFA's most important asset, and that's our incredibly talented and committed employees. They really make this agency what it is, and their great service to our public makes them truly the heart and soul of South County Fire. I want to thank all members of this organization for their great support during my tenure as fire chief. And as I step away, I feel like we have left this organization, I say we, better than I found it. And I know it'll only continue to improve after I'm gone. And with that, you've heard me say this maybe 50 times. This concludes my fire chief report for this evening, and staff would welcome any comments or questions from the board. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Who's first? Commissioner Hurdoff.
Chief, thank you for that brief report. I wish it were under a more spirited topic rather than your departure, but know this, that your tenure here, like any good ship, is definitely reflected on every one of the officers that you have appointed, every one of the persons that you have promoted. You have created an indelible mark that will stand the test of time in the state of Washington for the finest organization that I've ever been associated with. And I just want to say thank you very, very much on behalf of the board.
Thank you, Commissioner Farnoff.
Commissioner Lawrence.
So we'll have time to that thing again. We'll have another opportunity to say our farewells and appreciation. So this is just an official notification. So otherwise, I'll go on and on and on if it's my last chance to talk. Here.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll have two more meetings with you at the helm, and then April 1st will be the transition date to your consultant role. Commissioner Chan?
Yeah, well, Witta's probably be a witness in here. And I have so many times that when I first met you, remember that moment at 22nd, and you were casually on the riding machines and talking to me while I was looking for Scott Hamilton. And my God, you are such a I come back and told Withers, and I said, my God, that guy is good. Because you tell a little different, but with real respect of Scott Hamilton, you a little bit disagree. I sensing that, but you did not come out right. I mean, my God, I said, this guy's going to be a leader. And guess what? You were the leader. You are the leader. And also that you and I have gone through a lot, right? Remember, we're fighting the battles, annexations, and then my situation. I go back and look at the picture of my famous, I don't want to name that name again. And I look at a picture of the picture, you're not happy. You're like, your face.
How long ago was this photo?
So
I said, how long ago was this photo?
I'm talking about over my incidents.
Oh, gotcha. Okay,
Yeah,
gotcha.
yeah.
Yeah.
And you didn't go up there and kind of, well, you know me, so you didn't go there and stand the microphone and really talk about it. But I can see from you're kind of frustrated at that situation. So definitely, and then also in the last few years, you always come basically on the budget. You say let's status quo, right? And that really helped us a lot. And then carefully, rather than go on with, oh, we should have another certain percentages and everything else. And I read the particular person on the public records on the committee on the hearing. We got to be. It'll be a good. But anyway, just beside being, you and I can call and talk and without any problem. I really appreciate that. And I'm going to cry. All right.
Well, I didn't cry yet, so it's been great to work with each of you commissioners, and there's been some that left us during the 4-year period, but it's been a great pleasure to work with you, Commissioner Chan, on a lot of different topics, including those annexations and other things. So thank you for your service.
Commissioner Wittes.
See if I can make them cry. Goes back a long time. First off, I want to say thank you and thank you very much. I remember when we first started working together as one unit, that's when negotiating a contractor down in Mount Lake Terrace, that not too many people can say they've sat in your seat on this day. I have. Just maybe a word of warning, the emotions you're going to go through in the next couple of years are going to be a little different. Took me 5 years to get to be human again. So don't ever fail to reach out and give a call. And thank you so much.
Thank you, Chief. Commissioner Wittes, appreciate you. You did a great job as chief, and I'm sure you're going to do a great job as commissioner, and you never change your phone number, so I'll call you when I have those times. So thank you, Ed.
Commissioner Kenny.
Chief Ovis, I want to thank you for your service in so many different positions at South County Fire District 1 before, Malik Terrace before that, I believe, yes. But I also wanted to note and thank your family for allowing you to spend so much time with us. It's being fire chief, it's a hard job. And it takes a lot of time, and it takes a lot of energy, of mental energy, to lead an organization of this size. And to lead it well, it's hard, but it takes time away from your personal life, and that comes at the expense to some degree of your family. So I want to thank your family for allowing you to spend time with us to lead the organization. Thank you. Thanks to them.
Yeah, thank you, and you're welcome. This is part of the family is the fire family, and that's one of the things I wanted to have come through in my message, but I'm looking forward to spending more time with my family moving forward. So thank you.
Commissioner Tofilak.
I just want to say that you've done an amazing job as chief. Your first official day as interim chief was probably April 1st, 2020.
Acting March 27th, interim
Yeah.
April 1st.
So yeah, it was a super scary time of COVID, and our organization ended up being one of the best in the countries to weather COVID and helping other agencies improve. So unbelievable job. So thank you.
Thanks, Commissioner, and thanks, Commission, for the support during that time. It's a credit to staff. And, one of the most important things is we kept everybody. We didn't lose an employee. So, yeah, those were different times. So thank you for your support.
Well, I guess I'll close with saying I've only known you for probably the past 2 years, but during the time you've earned my respect and admiration. Your ability to know just at the drop of a hat the names, the dates, the entire history of this organization is going to be something that's sorely missed. As is your style of leadership. It's every leader has their own particular way of running an organization. I've watched you over the last 2 years and tried to learn a little bit from your example. So thank you very much. If there's anything we can do to convince you not to do this, let us know. But it will be sad to see you go. On the other side, Assistant Chief Eastman, look forward to working with you, and I know that he's trained you well and you work together side by side, and there will be a very smooth transition. So
Thank you, Chair. And there's no way you can talk me out of it. Page 51 of your packet, in case anybody was wondering. So yeah, no, thank you. Thank you for your comments.
all right, moving on, union report. Pat Moore.
Good evening, Commissioners. I don't have much for a union report tonight, but I do obviously want to speak on Chief Hovis's retirement. And it's a pretty sad day for me. I not only get the pleasure of having him be my fire chief and been my officer and have sat on my oral board for my first interview when I came over here as a lateral hire 8 years ago. But probably most importantly, have him as a close friend. And so it's close with my family and very happy for him. I'm sad to see him go though. Our membership is on here tonight, and I don't know if you can see it or not, but there's a large number of our membership that's on here tonight, here to support you, and they're very appreciative of your contributions to the organization. And they are also sad to see you go, but I think everybody's happy to see you kind of maybe hopefully enjoy some well-earned quality retirement time. But yeah, Chief, just wanted to just get on here and just let you know how much the local appreciates you for every position you've served. And I know, as you had said, it kind of alluded to, it's not the position you wanted. I remember sitting in the deputy chief interview process for you. And I know at the time you didn't want the job then, and you were the right person for it, whether you knew it or not. And so forever grateful for it and for everything that you've done for the organization. So you've been a good friend and a good mentor to me. So I appreciate everything, and we wish you the best.
Thank you, President Moore. That means a lot. And thank you for taking the time tonight for those people in the organization that have logged on. That means a lot to me. So thank you.
All right, is there any questions for President Moore here? All right, thank you very much. Moving on to new business, personal services agreement for action. This will be page number real quick. Page 50, starting on 51. This is so this is the employment agreement between Robert Easton and South Snohomish County Fire and Rescue Regional Fire Authority. Is there any discussion on this contract?
Page 51.
Believe 51 is the retirement notice, and then 53 is where the agreement starts, the contract.
Mr. Chair, do we want to start with Chief Hovis's contract letter? Is that page 51? And then maybe we do Chief Eastman's contract?
Apologies here. Sorry. Go back a page. All right. Sorry about that. So yes.
So I would move the adoption of the letter agreement with Chief Hovis and authorize the chair to sign at page 51, 52 of the packet.
All right. Is there any questions on this agreement? Seconded by Commissioner Wittes or Commissioner Chan, sorry.
No, you said that. Okay, I just wanted to make comments on this.
All right, Commissioner Chan.
Well, I just feel that I look at the detail. I mean, it is very, very simple and very fair. You're not, that's, to me, it is, I'm really glad that you're able to, still help out and just in need basis and that type of thing, and just not just gone. And that kind of feeling. I think this is a very fair contract, and I totally support this.
All right. Any further comments? All right. All those in favor of approving this agreement, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All right, the ayes have it.
Thank you, commissioners.
Sorry about that. I mixed up my pages there. I thought there was a bigger one later on. All right. So moving on to the employment agreement between Robert Eastman and South Snohomish County Fire and Rescue Regional Fire Authority. This is the contract for you to become fire chief. Are there any questions, any comments? All right.
I would move the adoption of the employment agreement with Chief Eastman at pages 53 through 59 of the packet.
All right, there's a motion on the floor. Is there a second? All right, seconded by Commissioner Fernahoff. Any discussion? All right.
Let me make a comment. Again, I think Chief Eastman, this is a very reasonable, and I think had we gone outside to look for one, it would not be, it would be much more expensive, but more importantly, the continuity of the knowledge you have right now, which really, to me, is really important. So I think this is reasonable, and I totally support this.
All right. Is there any further discussion? All right, seeing none, we'll move to a vote. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All right, the ayes have it. Yes, congratulations. Apparently they didn't get the confetti drop. I apologize for that. Moving on, we're going to go to unfinished business, starting first with the drone program update. This is the small unmanned, otherwise known as the small unmanned aircraft systems. This is by DC Curtis.
Good evening, Board Chair, Commissioners, and liaisons and staff present. Staff was asked to bring an update for our drone program, also known as the small unmanned aircraft systems, for the board meeting tonight. And I'm prepared to go through a kind of a chronological timeline of the program from its inception in 2019 to where we are today. And then I'll answer any questions, take any comments that you have. And can you hear me okay? I'm sorry.
Could you just speak up a little louder?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you.
I'll go through a chronological update of the drone program, answer any questions, and take any comments as the board sees fit. So I'll start off by the program was first developed in 2019 under the training division. It was used for training purposes, analysis and critiques of training events, and has stayed in that division until early in 2023 when we stood up the logistics division. At that point, it was brought under my watch as the logistics chief in about April of 2023. That gave me an opportunity to do a look at an analysis of the program and take back a lot of the things that we've learned, a lot of the program developments that we had grown into. We were still in the infant stages as an organization, and quite honestly, we still are today, which isn't a bad thing. And I'll explain that as we go through the process. We recognized that we needed to update our training program, and that was a good opportunity for us to reach outside and understand what like agencies are doing, specifically larger agencies along the West Coast, which have embraced drones early on in their time, all about early 2000s, and law enforcement. So we've found a lot of common processes, which led us to the training component. And we felt it was best to take that training component and build it into something that was federally recognized, nationally recognized. And that took us in a direction called Part 107. Part 107 certification is a 50 to 60 hour training program. It's basically ground school for anyone that has any pilot experience. It's the same curriculum that a pilot would go through. And that comes with a certification process. So today we have 2 pilots in the organization that are federally licensed and certified as Part 107 pilots. Our plan in the next 30 to 60 days is to double that to 4 pilots. It's not very easy to do that because there's a lot of training and a lot of hours studying to take the test. So for me, for example, I think I had about 60 hours into the training program when I got my Part 107 in, I want to say it was May of 2023. So it was a really quick startup for me, and it was a very vertical learning curve. So from there, I brought a update to the board in August of 2023, where we delivered the intentions of staff to operationalize the drone program and get it ready to respond on high acuity calls such as structure fires, technical rescues, hazmat, search and rescue type events. However, the direction from the board was to please refrain from law enforcement sorties, you might say, and keep it in the realm of fire and EMS. So we did that. Today, we now have a new SOG in place, which was brought before the board, reviewed as well. We have a data retention program that is also available for public disclosure or public requests. That was an important component. So all of these things took a little time to develop. There was a lot of work with legal and a lot of work with our administrative staff. Now, in February of 2024, just last month, we received our newest drone. There was a lot of concern about DJI products and their protection of sensitive information. So the decision from staff was to go in a American-made product that was assembled and manufactured and assembled in the United States. It also falls under what's known as national defense. Well, I don't remember the full acronym. It's called NDAA. It's certified and it falls into that category, meaning that the manufacturing, the distribution of the data, and its retention all are protected to some degree. So this new drone now has the ability to transmit 4K resolution videos streaming. So for instance, if we were up flying right now, I'd be able to offer an IP address, a secured password, and anybody would be able to view this camera feed. There's 3 cameras on it that are all independent. And that could be something that could be seen on a cell phone, to an iPad, to a mobile data computer, such as an incident commander. It's the newest technology out there. We have increased flight time. It's a much smaller footprint than what we've had previously. And like I said, it adheres to the most recent security features. So March, this month, I'm here to tell you where we're at, ask you if you have any questions, and just basically give you an update of our plans moving forward. I intend to bring on 2 more pilots. Next class, I want to say, is in May. It's in a place in California, 3 days. There's coursework that starts in April. So the 2 gentlemen that are involved will have a little bit of homework. And then there's a 3-day in-class full 8-hour days. And yeah, and then we'll get them certified. So questions, and I'll give some answers, I hope.
What's the maximum distance away from the operator
Oh, so this one's very unique in the fact that it's on a 5G network. So it's actually on the T-Mobile cell phone network. So in theory, I could be sitting here and flying it in on the East Coast. That's pretty remarkable technology today. However, that would fall under what's called beyond visual line of sight. And I'd have to have a certification to do that, which we are also moving that direction as well. But technically speaking, there isn't the range is cell phone coverage, 5G network.
So right now it's just line of sight?
Correct. Yes. Sir.
Okay, and then you plan on going beyond that?
So this one is set up for what we call a drone first responder. And if the board recalls, I might have spoke a little bit about it in August. And it could be a system that can be implemented when a 911 caller calls 911 based on their coordinates. This drone can and is equipped to launch from a remote site such as a fire station and launch out to that location and begin an orbiting until a pilot takes over control. So that's what's called drone first responder. That's a system that's already in place, operational in places in the LA area. One of the premier departments that everybody uses as their benchmark is Chula Vista. And this is a very popular program, and I see that as the next evolution for this drone. That's why purchasing this one was a really good choice for us. It gave us that ability to expand that program.
Thank you.
Commissioner Chan.
Yeah, can you refresh my memory? You have 4 people, so you're all standby. Is that correct?
Yeah. Currently, right now, it's Chief Maxwell and myself. So on our administrative duties, during the day or after hours, it's
So when I was involved in Snow 911, I did suggest that you mentioned now automatically, once who decided that the drone will fly to the area? 911 people, or how's that work?
we would have to work out those details. That could certainly be housed at Snow 911 as far as a pilot. I'm sure there'd be some sort of an agreement fee-based system between us and Snow 911. However, that is kind of the direction that law enforcement and fire service is going. Yes, I see that as an option.
So once you fly up there, once you got one of you take control right away, and then so how do you know what information, or you were just a standard? Well, 2 things I'm real concerned. Maybe we can do it a little bit detail. So in case one of you on vacations, whatever, not available. So in the middle of the night, someone call you. How does that work? You basically.
Yeah. So right now we don't really have a formal staffing matrix for this because we're still in that early stage. We're able to, well, I think Chief Maxwell, do you want to chime in? Looks like you're getting
Well,
to.
I was just going to say that that's more visionary what we're describing to launch from centralized, or forward locations. That's not occurring right now. Right now, Chief Curtis or I would respond and launch the drone from our vehicle. So there would be no automatic launch. We're always going to have control of it. Because that seems to be your concern?
Yeah, no, actually, I did suggest in Snow, and why don't we, well, first of all, only 15% of our calls are fire, and then the big fire will be less. So to me, will be much more better to allow Snow 911 to do it. If they have some people have no background, no one to fly, because a lot of time, middle of the night, then sending you, by the time you get to our pilot, maybe 10 minutes, 20 minutes away.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think what you're describing is very visionary. We've got a ways to go.
Okay.
But I'm sure Chief Curtis will keep you informed once we move to those steps. But I think we have a lot of steps in between before we get there. But that's a great vision.
Yeah, I guess I'm looking at the cost wise, so we will be able to share with other fire districts and that type of thing, rather than each one have their own. To me, is way too expensive.
Yeah, there's some really neat software right now. So it links all the drones together. So Chief Hovis would be able to watch from his office today. That's available. All police and fire can look at it. We can look at from the Emergency Operations Center. So there's already software to link that up even before we start to do the launching from Snohomish.
Okay, maybe Chief Willis, maybe kind of in the Snow 911, you can suggest whatever. Oh, you are, I'm sorry. I forgot. Yeah, I think the sharing the cost, I think is more critical to what everybody have their own. Some smaller one don't have the manpower to do that. So I suggest that, continue that kind of inquiry. Thank you.
Anyone else? Commissioner Bernal.
Thank you, Chief, for the report and the update. Just a real quick question. We only own one of these, and I'll help you with the acronym, National Defense Authorization Act, NDAA,
Thank you.
authorized drone. Thank you. I wouldn't have remembered that either.
Escaping.
And that's the Ski-Doo, or how do we say it? Sky-Doo?
Skydio.
Skydio.
Yeah.
Okay. We only own one.
We own 3 drones specifically to the Skydio. We only have one at this point.
Do we consider that the one if we were to launch a mission today? Let's say we had somebody in the bay that was missing overboard. Is that the one that's mission capable, or are all of them mission capable?
This one is the most mission capable right now. The other 2 are. We just had to go through a remote ID update. Perhaps you might be familiar with that. And they are all 3 mission capable. However, they're starting to show their age. So the batteries aren't as mission capable as I'd like them to be. So a brand new set of batteries should have on those models should have about at least 25 to 30 minutes of flight time. We're pushing about 15 minutes now because of the age of the batteries. That's unfortunately the weakest link of a UAS program are the batteries and the maintenance and age.
We can buy new batteries without having to buy a new airship, right?
Sometimes when you look at the cost versus benefit and the availability of the batteries, for example, we have a DJI Matrice 210. Those batteries are no longer manufactured, and you're looking at about $700 a battery. And that one takes 2. So it's a head scratcher. And that was the conundrum that we were facing.
The 210's that big one, right?
Correct.
Right. So that's not even extremely portable. I know that we've had a couple of occasions off of Edmonds where there's been a report of somebody missing. It's usually some sort of windsurfer or something like that. And I have looked at, I think it's Mount Lake Terrace, it deploys a police vehicle that's marked drone capable, et cetera. Are we intending to do something similar to that and add this also to be identified, mark a vehicle so people understand we have these life-saving drones, and as does Mount Lake Terrace Police Department? And are we also adding this to the run card capability at 911 so they know to call you or call Chief Maxwell, load the little box in and send it to wherever we're doing a search operation? So,
Commissioner, as far as decal in a vehicle, that quite honestly wasn't a consideration. We can certainly look into that. That's a low cost, high value item for communicating with our customers and the general public. As far as responses, I've already worked with our operations division and we've identified what our call signs are going to be. I've asked that we pause until we get the right number of pilots, and then we're going to add those drones as a call out. Now, I don't know how it's going to work sequentially, what it's going to look like, but structure fires, confirmed working fires, technical rescues, we anticipate a drone being the last dispatched item on that string, perhaps with a what we would call a utility package. When we call PSC, law enforcement, the support units that go with a structure fire, I could see a drone being part of that, but honestly, we haven't worked out the details unless Chief Maxwell can add to that.
No, I think Chief Curtis is being very judicious in figuring out a really solid plan before he goes to the next step and operationalizing to that level. Just in our training experiences, it's and I'm not telling you anything you don't know, but it's pretty serious to launch those, and you feel a huge onus of responsibility flying that over people, and yeah, and so it's just I think there's a lot of weight, and so I mean I've even pushed on Chief Curtis to go very slow and methodical, because I don't want to have a miss and have one of these come out of the sky or hit a tree.
So with that said, is there a timeline, a goal that we can see that the investment is going to go to an operational status, that we can push a button and deploy it?
Yeah, I don't want to make any promises that I can't adhere to,
That's fine.
because it's part of training the other pilots. But my goal is early on, when I took on this project in it was April of last year, I anticipated by the summer of this year we could have something operational. I please don't hold me to this. My goal is to have something operational by the end of summer. I'd like it to be available for wildland season. We do have some classes coming up in May. I'm hoping shortly after those classes, our two chief officers will become certified, Part 107 certified, which will allow them a little more latitude to operate under what we call our certificate of waiver, or our COA. And it will give them some latitude to operate and some confidence, not just from our governance, but from our staff, that we're doing it in a safe, like Chief Maxwell said, methodical fashion. And I certainly don't want to push this, because at the end of the day, it's actually really flying an aircraft at several hundred feet up, and it's a big deal. I take it very seriously, and I hope you appreciate my sincerity when I say that. I do want this to be a safe program, and I want it to be something that everybody's proud of, versus just, hey, let's get this out there. So.
I will say I actually own a drone myself. There we go. I own a drone myself. It's more of a consumer one, same company as our two DJIs. But it's very fast. It can actually on manual mode hit 80 miles an hour. How fast are these drones that we are currently have in our fleets? You spoke of the ability to deploy from a central location, at least with the Skydio, to a location. How fast are they?
I want to say the Skydio, when it's in ADI mode, is probably 65, 60 miles an hour, I think is what it's really good for is winds. It'll operate in up to almost 40 mile an hour gusts, which is amazing. And also it's got weather protection, so it can operate in the rain. I want to say it's an IP55. Which is a pretty high rating, considering that we're in the Northwest. That's remarkable for all the moving parts and technology on a drone. So yeah, it's not the fastest, but it's also rather large.
I wasn't suggesting we should have 80-mile-per-hour ones. That's just the fun ones.
Those are the fun ones.
You said it's 5G.
Correct.
Does that mean that it always relies on the 5G network being up to be able to be flown, or does it also have backup radio?
Yeah, so it works off of your standard package of satellites. It also has a 5G for communicating, and then it also has it's kind of a Bluetooth. I don't remember the network connection between the drone itself and the controller. So that's your fallback. So when it's operating in that method, then you're only limited to the distance, which is probably 1,500 feet from the drone to the controller. But that's the worst case scenario. So to answer your question, if we do lose the cell phone network, we still have operational capability.
We often think of worst case scenario being the Cascadia subduction zone event. And I would assume in that event, we could pretty much kiss our cell towers goodbye, possibly. So I just want to make sure that whatever plans that we have for deploying this, if it's at a centralized location, something like that, if we can't get to the location, can't use it, it's not much use of us for us. So, making sure that we have that at least disaster plan put in place. Not that that has to be the center of how we do this. So these have not been operationalized at any live scene yet.
Oh, yeah, a
The
few.
DJI, actually, Chief Eastman and myself have
Yeah.
participated in search and rescue for some elderly people in Edmonds and over some fires. We're kind of testing operational capability of it. So yeah, we've
Recently, or when was this?
not probably in the last year. Just yep, and we did go. Yeah, there's some of our larger fires we've tested them on, and then search and rescue.
Okay. I know I've been with this organization for about two and a quarter years now. Well, actually 2 years, I think, in March, right? And I'm pretty sure we kind of talked about this, when I first came on 2 years ago. You took over, you said last year in April?
April, yes.
Okay, and so we're looking at a year right now that we've been sitting on these drones again. So we've purchased a brand new one. How much is that new Skydio?
That was with the subscription, the add-on equipment, it was $25,000.
And how much were our matrices? Do those have a subscription as well?
So the Matrice was
Or Matrice.
probably close to 40,000 back in the day, I want to say.
Was it
It's
that one?
pricey. Does that sound right, Chief?
That sounds a little high, but I didn't.
Perhaps maybe 35.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then there was a Mavic, a smaller Mavic that went with that. I couldn't speak to what that cost was.
Gotcha.
And those were back, I want to say they were purchased by 2019. My records were a little sketchy that far back.
Gotcha. Another question, are we covered under the National Defense Authorization Act as an organization that's required to comply?
Are we required to comply in the state of Washington? There's not an RCW that speaks to whether we have to comply with NDAA. There was a presidential directive about 3-4 years ago now that suggested that there was a national security concern. I don't have that in front of me. I'm speaking from memory here. Some states followed suit and enacted legislation. I want to say 5 or 6 states followed that suggestion from the well, I couldn't tell you if it was which host agency authorized that. However, there were about 5 or 6 states that have now said DJI and Autel drones, Chinese made, should not be purchased. And they have expressed substantial concerns.
Do you know of any effort in the legislature now or in the past to follow suit?
I have not followed that in the state of Washington to know. I do not know that.
Probably a good idea to just make sure that we keep our ear to the ground on that, just in case. I don't know if those other states grandfathered in the use of already purchased drones or if that rendered them all obsolete, but we'd want to make sure we at least got ahead of it if we needed to. What are the minimum requirements for operating these drones? You spoke of Section 107. I know that there's Section 104, which is more for recreational, but I mean, I think it's 104. Correct me if I'm wrong on the numbers. What are the requirements for our organization, the minimum training required to be able to use these at a site? Because it seems like 107 is kind of a more advanced training, if I understand correctly, or is it the minimum?
Yeah, so I don't have in front of me what the Part 107 is. Part 107 is a clean way of taking the training requirements out of the organization's hands per se, and giving it to a third party where that's their full-time job, is training pilots. So for us, we operate under what's called a COA, a certificate of waiver that authorizes us to fly in public safety situations. However, it's a little cumbersome if you're going to do training or other aspects such as, hey, we want to use our drone to do some pub ed filming or something like that. It's not a emergency scene. So you would have to do get authorization from the air traffic control
Mhm.
up to 48 to 72 hours in advance, plan that out and get that authorization. When it comes to the training, the FAA is very keen to knowing what your training requirements are and what your pilot flight hours are and what you've done to maintain that. Basically, you're keeping a task book for all of your pilots. That's a very difficult thing to do when it comes to the ability to fly. You don't just have all those hours. So what we found was a lot of law enforcement agencies and a lot of fire agencies have said, hey, if we can have the benefit of the COA and we can have the certification of the Part 107 that ensures all of the training, and you've met the FAA's ground school requirements, you've demonstrated proficiency, that's almost an automatic checkbox for the FAA, and you're not going to be scrutinized when it comes to their training, the training regiment that you have in your organization. To me, and when we had the conversations, chief officers, we felt that that was a very easy solution to a complex problem of certifying our pilots, not just annually, but for the foreseeable future. Does that answer your question, Commissioner Chair Rowland?
I guess I'd just paraphrase. The certificate of waiver, I think, was a bridge to get public service agencies off the ground, to say, but it's very limited. You can only use it in emergency scenes, and even training with it is really gray and vague. So we wouldn't be able to help with any other public ed or PIO or any work like that. It's strictly for emergencies. So where the professional organizations are going is they're having them get their UAS license from the FAA, and then you're licensed and you can operate under the waiver or outside the waiver. You can fly anytime you need to. There's no restrictions. It takes all the gray out of it, and it's a much higher level of training for each pilot. So in
Understood.
discussions with Chief Curtis, that is the professional way to move our program.
Gotcha. So back to my original question, what is to operate on emergency scenes? What's the minimum requirements that we are required to do compared to what we're the section 107 that you guys have gone through, or part 107?
So what we did, and Chief Vice Taylor, correct me if I'm missing anything, we brought in a consultancy right before COVID, and they trained a group of us pilots up. It was a 1-week class, I believe. And then we were certified public safety drone operators under the COA, and they helped us achieve our COA. And that's where it's just great. It's just great. We created training, we met the training, we filed for our COA, but you can only operate in an emergency situation.
Okay. I guess do research on that to find out. I just want to understand, let me we've got a training plan in place. We've got only a few people trained up on it. It seems like it's a pretty extensive program. What I'm trying to understand is what are our options longer term to make sure that we have the required number of people in case of emergency, vacation, otherwise, that we can keep this program going, but also do so without having to spend. I mean, we can have our super experts that are, heavily certified for the, if we had to fly over the airport or something like that. I know because I live in the zone with my drone, I can't even make it fly in my living room because it says 0 feet is your ceiling. So I've had to go through the process with filing with the FAA and getting the exemption for being able to fly it in that zone and others. So I thank you for explaining it to the rest of the commissioners. But I guess that's why I was questioning as far as what were the minimums, where are we going, what's the kind of.
So Commissioner Rowland, yeah, we can answer that. Our strong recommendation is everyone gets their FAA UAS license. This is high risk, high consequence work, and everybody should be trained to the highest level for safety. That's our recommendation.
Understood. Thank you. Commissioner Lawrence, go ahead.
So you how do you pick the guys to be pilots? Do you do because you have to manipulate this by hand in the beginning, right? So do you let them try? And I mean, how many crashes do you have?
Don't answer that question, James. No.
I would like.
That's, I didn't really want an answer. I was just
would
trying to
like
be,
speak to
put
the
you on the spot.
restricted airspace. Flying in the national airspace is a permission-based system. I've asked the FAA to give me the permission to fly in their airspace. They do not have to give that to me. I can fly in Class B, Class C, Class D. Anybody can fly in Class G airspace. That's why we as an agency have decided that Part 107 is a very important step to take. It's like being an EMT. Anybody can go out there and do first aid with some basic training. But if you're going to be an EMT or a paramedic, then there's highly specialized training. I'm proud to say that we are an agency that are certifying our pilots to Part 107. And operating under the COA, like Chief Maxwell said, is a first step into the process. I know a lot of individuals across the country that operate drone programs, and they are following the very similar steps that we're following today. Very methodical, and they do not have a lot of pilots because of the requirement for the hours, and it's difficult. So I just wanted to add that if that helps answer any questions or concerns. Yeah, I want to grow the program just as much as anybody. However, we're just not equipped to do it quite yet, but we will be there.
So I do have questions. I mean, as a commissioner, can I rely on you guys in compliance and everything? I mean, I don't read 104, 107 and all that stuff. Do I really need to know? I don't think I should know. Okay, so I can completely rely on you on the compliance and everything else, right? I don't own a drone, so I really don't know what commission comes on. Roland here asking all these questions. I said, oh my God, am I supposed to know or what?
No, I hope you can trust us. I mean, our EMTs and our paramedics, those are much more sophisticated qualifications and training we have to keep, and we keep
Okay.
everybody certified.
I'm glad. I don't have to worry about it. Okay, great. Thank you.
I feel the same way sometimes when we get into the finance weeds too. So I appreciate the fact that all of our commissioners have different experience and can ask some of these technical questions that we may need the answers to. So yeah, I guess my only thing is let's start using these. I mean, we've spent a large amount of money on the drones that we had before we got this Skydio. We've spent, over a year since we probably have seen the drones when you brought them in, and to find out that they're not even being used yet. I think we need to start, using the investments that we're, spending money on for the taxpayers' benefit, and also just for the benefit at the scenes. The return on investment has to be there. So even if it means that we don't have everyone trained up, just getting them into use, we will learn things that will help us train our new pilots better, and we'll refine the program as we go along. I don't want to wait for perfect if we're at a point where we can start using them. So. All right. Yes, please.
Everyone here has an opinion, but I like the way that the methodical, slow, safety first view that you're taking with things. So take your time, make sure that we do it safely. Thank you. Of course.
All right. Any further questions? All right. Moving on to agenda item 11B. This is the boardroom and technology updates for discussion by our IT manager, Chris Gronfeld.
Hey, good evening, commissioners. This has been in the progress for a while. The last time I talked to you guys about this was actually back in September of last year. We are now finally ready to bring this back and hopefully get approval to move forward. Just a quick recap on things. Ultimately, we have kind of Frankenstein something together in here to be able to do our meetings, record them, be in a hybrid setup. But ultimately, we're not utilizing probably even half the equipment that's in this room. There is a full sound system in here. We can't use it because it doesn't integrate in with Zoom and doing our remote hybrid meetings at this point. So a lot of this stuff is just most everything is completely outdated and unusable for what we need to use it for. So I did bring forward a plan in September on the 5th was the last time, and we had kind of asked, we're looking at the dollar range of 140,000 to 175,000 to redo the room. At that point, we kind of went back and just decided what we were looking to do. Ultimately, our goal is to make the room usable in many different circumstances, including these board meetings, making sure that we can not only hear who's in the room, but people who are remote, recording all of that, linking it into the new agenda management system that's actually been kind of on hold, waiting for something to happen with this. And we finally were able to get that out to bid, based upon the dollar amounts that, the estimated value of the project. We were able to use the small works roster. We sent out we sent out the statement of work, basically what we're looking for, to the entire small works roster. We had 3 vendors bid on the actual project, and we used the outlines with the help of purchasing manager Shane Jensen to determine the lowest cost responsible bidder, which turned out to be Morgan Sound. They bid on the project to do it for $138,901 plus tax, which actually turned out to be just under the lowest number that I had given in September. And at this point, we are just ready to move forward and try and bring this room into a more usable state. As of right now, any event that happens in this room is just, it's not very user-friendly or usable without the help of IT and trying to figure out how to get people connected how they need to be. So the end goal is to make it user-friendly, usable, and for many different situations and setups this room could be used for, which the bid that's proposed will do. And we are looking for board approval to move forward with signing the bid from Morgan Sound, as well as the attached budget amendment to amend the capital fund budget to fund the project as well. Happy to take any questions that might come forward.
So does that include any physical reconstruction, like this dais, everything gonna stay the same?
Yeah, so originally back in September, it was kind of decided we weren't going to do anything with the dais. So everything that is proposed was basically aside from that. Now, I know you guys are sitting back up there at this point, but we did take that into consideration.
Yes, I feel much more important up here.
Yes. So we did take that into consideration with the understanding that at some point you could be returning up there. So everything that's in the proposal and is in the bid is made to be so that we can adjust the room as necessary. The one thing that, and it doesn't really change the actual layout of the room. The one thing it will change is the programming of the room. So basically, when they program the room, you come in, we say you hit the button for board meeting. Everything will turn on that's needed. The main thing we need to do is by the time they get to the programming stage, we know we need to have one setup that is for you guys sitting up at the dais, but it doesn't change where any of the equipment goes. It doesn't change what equipment we're using. Everything that can be is wireless. So you can pretty much, the microphones will not have any of these cables. So you can just put it wherever people are sitting and it will focus in on that.
So the staff was involved in the brainstorming of what this is, a multi-purpose room.
Yep.
And so everybody was happy with just keeping this up here and movable tables there, and that's everybody's happy. Okay. All
Yeah.
right.
And the technology, we tried to make it so that even if somebody decided to put tables in a different setup,
Mhm.
it can be adjusted with that without having to move equipment. Everything should be freestanding. There will be 2 large format TVs that are actually movable in the room as well, in addition to the ones that are up above.
So what happened to my proposal for a trap door?
Secret. We'll include that in the building reconstruction stuff. Yeah.
All right. Thank you. Thank
Yep.
you, Chris.
Questions?
You have questions?
Commissioner
Yeah,
Chan?
I did double check in my hearing, and my hearing is normal. So are you gonna have more speakers around here? Is that what? Because right now, it's basically, we don't, the microphone's for the benefit of the thing, not anything else, right?
Yeah.
So are they gonna have enough speaker that we can hear it clearly?
Yeah, so that was one of the biggest things that was taken in is not only having audio remote, but in the room. So the microphones that are being used, all the speakers are going to get replaced. And those, you'll be able to hear me through the speakers as well as in the meeting. So everything is integrated with it.
Because right now, I'm just hearing voice, not hearing microphone.
Correct. And that's just because that we aren't able to integrate it right now. It's either in person or remote. So this will be for both.
You said you have three companies bidding. I'm just curious what the other company, how far, how differences, and also what are the different background those companies.
So I don't actually know exactly what it was that either disqualified or made the other companies not qualified, but everything went through legal review and there were certain components or the pricing that made those companies either disqualified from the bid based upon the outlines that are in there, or they were not the lowest price.
They have the lowest.
They are the lowest that also follows all of the other lines that are in place.
Well, actually, I'm happy to actually, the person used to be my neighbor.
Oh.
And I also know a staff, and I know they do a lot of this work, and just make sure that.
Yeah.
I'm happy that you're using a local company. Thank you.
All right.
Liaison Hoffman.
Yes.
Hey, I just wondered, a big complaint that I've heard around here is the light on the mic and being able to tell whether it's on. Was that something that got fixed during this process?
It was one of the items in the proposal specifically that they needed to be easy to use and visible to the end user as to whether they were live or not. So yes.
All right. Any further questions? All right, thank you very much. Looking forward to it. Oh, wait, we have the approval here to go through. So, but thank you for answering the questions. So where is that? One more page. There we go. So we don't have a resolution number on this, but this would be a resolution to amend the capital funds budget, building reserve to fund modernization of boardroom technology to facilitate hybrid meetings and to improve user and community experience. Got through it. Is there a motion to approve? All right, Commissioner Lawrence, is there a second? Second by Commissioner Bernhoff. Any further discussion? All right, seeing none, we'll move to a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All right, the ayes have it.
Awesome. Thank you so much. We'll look forward to getting this in place as soon as we can. Thank you.
Hey, and thanks, Chris, for the rapid response.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
All right, moving on to agenda item 11 C. This is the fireworks ban draft letters for discussion. Communications Director Hines.
So I think I think we flipped a coin and I lost. No, I'm
Oh.
kidding. So I guess I'd like to let the board know, we waited till, the legislative session was over because we've got two of our county council folks too that are also state representatives. If you recall, Councilman Strong Peterson, was the one that took up last year when we had conversations, and specifically we were talking about banning the sale of fireworks in the where the discharge of fireworks was also banned. And we had several meetings with them. They were actually productive. As we were waiting for session to end and I don't recall if it was Leslie or Melissa, but we had a correspondence from Mr. Peterson that he is bringing the banned ordinance back forward for discussion. It'll be at the planning
And Development Committee.
So the Planning and Development meeting, the 2nd of April. He asked us to not come to that meeting on he would rather have us be there when they have the public hearing on the topic. And so I guess I'm happy to say that Councilman Peterson's bringing the ordinance, the change of the ordinance forward, which is what we originally asked for last year. They have their first conversation about it in committee on the 2nd of April. And I'm sure we'll hear from Councilman Peterson on what he needs from us for next steps. And I guess at the end, he asked us not to attend this next one as they go through. And I didn't get a whole lot more than that, but I know we'll have correspondence with them afterwards. And we'll keep the board appraised of what actions they would like from the RFA moving forward. I'm assuming if the ordinance, they'll want us to speak at probably the public hearing, letter of support for the ordinance and those things. We're just not quite ready for that yet. But I guess I'm pretty happy that we didn't instigate it. They were calling us, which is actually the perfect place to be. So I'm happy to report that those conversations are happening. The topic has been brought up by Councilman Peterson. And we'll let you know what happens after the 2nd and what other needs that they have for us on this topic. And hopefully we can get it done prior to the 4th of July. So it'll take effect in 2025. So that's a quick update. Leslie, did I miss anything? Or Melissa, did I miss anything? So I know that's not specific to the letter and the draft letter, but that's an update of where we were and where staff's at, and make sure you guys have the same information we have.
All right. This is pretty much same that we used last year. Nothing really changed about it. All right, good to know.
Yeah, and I think when it gets closer after the meeting on the 2nd, my guess is that they'll come with us with some specific asks for what they'd like us to do. Staff will prepare what needs to be done, and we'll bring that back before the board and give you an update and let everybody know, when the public hearings and all those pieces are, or hopefully that's what we're telling you, or Mr. Peterson's having some challenges, and then what we're going to do to help him with the challenges. So more to come.
All right, Commissioner Chan.
Yeah, actually, Roger Maestro. Remember him, he come to our meeting quite a bit, and he updating me that he was working well with the group in there. Gunderson, the lady.
Mickey Gunderson.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I think that's why I heard that. So my questions to you is that, do you hear any opposition? Used to be a group of those people from Olympia, the one who sell the firework, always come up with opposing it. Do you know anything about that at all?
We haven't heard anything with this round, but they were out last fall, or was it fall? I was probably the end of the summer when we were having this discussion. We did have representatives of the fireworks industry who showed up at meetings with the county council. I expect that would happen again.
So he wanted us to show up on the public hearing, right?
Yeah,
Approximately, do you know what
I
you don't know?
I don't know when they're planning to do that. I think a lot of it will depend on what happens in the committee work. And as you recall, last year they talked about a countywide ban altogether. And then you had the partial ban, which was some of our friends from down south that wanted to let certain fireworks be let off and sold and others not. I think they've come back to a place where I think we're far more comfortable, which is what we originally asked for, is ban the sale in the area that's banned the discharge, and that's where they are now. So I don't know exactly when they're planning to do the public hearing, Commissioner Chan. I think we'll have more information after the 2nd. And like I said, we've got a really good dialogue with Strom Peterson and his office. So I know Leslie and I know Melissa will keep contact and work with Joshua, I believe, and make sure we're there when they want us to be there. And the goal, giving plenty of time for everybody to know, right? That they should have plenty of time to know when it's going to public hearing and give the board plenty of time to know when that's happening.
Right.
and-
And
and
also
so-
too, they got to go ahead, get the thing out right earlier, right? Because I know those guys order the firework inventory for
Yeah.
a year ahead.
Yeah, so the goal, like I said, our goal is, and the plan was early on to get the conversation started. Continue the conversation that we paused, with the goal of having them amend the ordinance prior to July 4th, so it can take effect in 2025, right? So that way, the folks that buy fireworks a year ahead of time realize they
Right.
can't sell them. Hopefully, if it goes the way we want it to go, won't be able to sell in South County or the band area. So
Good.
that's the goal.
All right, thank you. Good job, guys.
Commissioner Lawrence.
Yes, I hope the county council does pass that. I am making this prediction. The same number of fireworks places will be surrounding us right on the edge of that. So it'll be the same number of fireworks sold, but at least there won't be that. Wait a sec, how come I can't blow these things off? But I can buy them here kind of natural response. People are very confused. So I hope we have an educational, like we're gonna arrest you and put you in prison kind of stuff, if they do. But anyway, so we'll see. We'll see how it works out. Thank you.
All right, any further questions? Yes,
Yep, question.
Commissioner Kenny.
Yeah, Chief Eastman, on this general topic, July 4th is not very far away. So I encourage you to start thinking about what we're doing for the 4th of July, particularly vis-a-vis the annual conversation we have about what's might happen with the sheriff's office supporting us. And we have a new sheriff this year, so maybe there'd be more support, maybe. So, just, there's only a few months now until then. Scheduling may already be occurring, so now's not a bad time to start thinking about that. So, thanks.
Thank you, because it was not on my radar. So we've got good connections with the sheriff. Not that we didn't have good connections before, but some of the leadership changes that happened, we've got exceptional relationships. I spent 2.5 years with Clint Cohen, who's the admin bureau chief now. So yeah, we'll add that to the work we've been doing and get ahead of the curve. So thanks for bringing that up.
So when she campaigned, I did ask that particular question. I think he's supporting that. So
Just so, I mean, the sheriff's office is still having the same challenge with staff. They're short-staffed. There's not enough officers. They're having the same challenges they had last year with just having enough full-time staff doing the work and stuff like that. So I think having the conversation early, getting a deal hammered out early, putting the sign-up list, how they do it, and some of those things up front will be beneficial versus doing it the last minute. I just know some of the staffing challenges that the sheriff's office hasn't totally gone away yet. So, we'll work through it like we did last year. We did have some success, maybe not every day we wanted it. But thanks for bringing it up, because it was, like I said, it wasn't on my radar. It probably was on Leslie. She's ahead of the curve most of the time anyway. So, but we'll reach out to them and get that in play too. So thanks.
All right. Thank you very much. Moving on, volunteer firefighter trustees or board of trustees. This is on the agenda under my name because we need to get set up, as we talked about in the last meeting, this statutory body to handle the volunteer firefighters. That basically their duties around making sure that we have them enrolled in the right programs at the state level, approving vouchers, things like that, things that we do. By statute, it is made up of the chair of the commissioners, the one other commissioner that we have to select, the secretary to the commissioners, which would be Ms. Blankenship, the fire chief, and one firefighter elected annually by the other firefighters. So I believe tonight we're looking to get at least a volunteer, hopefully, for a board member that would like to serve on it other than the chair. Is there anyone that is interested in doing that?
Sure.
All right, Commissioner Lawrence threw his hat in the,
If anybody wants to do it also. Okay.
all right.
So I'm stuck.
Well, then we got that covered and we'll take care of the representative from the firefighters after this to try to get that set up. All right, any further questions on that? Now, it is required, or at least in the guidelines says to have monthly meetings. They recommend that it be done almost concurrent with the Board of Commissioners meetings, either, a 5-minute or 10-minute, however long it takes right beforehand. We can figure out exactly how we're going to orchestrate that as we go forward. All right. Last item for discussion is the spring board workshop. By now you should have all gotten the doodle poll. I believe we've set the date for May 3rd. Is that correct?
Yes.
So May 3rd. We're working on trying to figure out what we need to cover. I don't know if you've gotten anything from any of the commissioners yet as far as agenda items.
I have, and I was hoping that if there were any other that might be mentioned tonight, I could add them to the list and then circulate after the meeting.
Exactly. You want us to discuss and bring them up live in the meeting, or do you just want to collect?
If
that
you'd,
afterwards
if you'd like to, if not, then just a reminder to everybody that it would be great to get them maybe before the end of the week.
Yeah, let's.
You have the list already? You can send it to us.
Yeah, if you could just send us what you have so far, so people know what. Maybe it'll spark their minds into going, oh, I don't see this on there, or I was gonna suggest something that's already on there, so.
And then a meeting's gonna be held here? And what time does it start?
We'll determine that once we know how long the agenda is going to be and all of that.
How many minutes?
It's optional. All right. Any further questions? All right. Moving on, that brings us to committee updates. We'll start off with the Emergency Plan Ad Hoc Committee from Commissioner Teoflat.
We haven't met since I last spoke, but as you can see, we are up here after our decision to move, and we'll need some time to see how we feel.
Yeah, not as cramped as I thought it was going to be. So haven't gotten doubled yet, unintentionally. Anything else? Any thoughts?
Well, I guess one thing I want to say is for our spring workshop, we would talk or have a training by the Briar Chief of Police about safety. Oh, sure. Sure.
So he had asked for the spring training to add a section for safety training by the Chief of Police, so that we are aware of what to do in case of an emergency. All right, anything else? Thank you. Moving on then to Finance and Human Resources, Commissioner Chan.
Yes, we're gonna have a meeting tomorrow. I mean. We have a meeting, right?
What we did last week.
I can
What?
talk on it.
Oh, yeah. Go ahead, Commissioner.
Yeah.
Do you have that?
Yeah, so we met last week, and on the HR side, we discussed HR Director Cullen discussed looking at a company that could provide a salary survey for us, a new company. And he'll bring that forward at some point in time. But the people in attendance of our committee meeting were happy with that option. And then also for finance, we looked at updates to financial policies, just updating the language. And so we'll bring that forward at another time.
So I got a
it.
question. How about we got the letter from that persons about the public hearing. Are we supposed to have a public hearing on the 19th? Am I looking the wrong? The letter sent from Bill Whitpeck?
Commissioner Chan, we already held the public hearing this evening.
What?
We held the public hearing this evening.
Oh, this?
Yes.
At what time? At 7 o'clock?
Yes,
Okay.
we,
Did-
we
did
held
he
the
show up?
public. Nope, there was no one, you were here. We did it at the
Why,
beginning.
yeah,
of the
I
meeting.
was, yeah.
Oh, you were late. I apologize.
I
Yeah.
apologize. Our international phone call, I got caught up, so I didn't,
It's all right. I apologize. Yes, we did hold the hearing. There were
but nobody show up.
no one online, no one, in attendance.
Okay.
All right.
Hmm.
Okay, thank you, guys. Moving on to intergovernmental, Commissioner Wittes.
We haven't met since the last update. I know everybody's probably seen that email that went out about Mount Lake Terrace that is just an annexation of some property they have. They're just making everybody aware of it. I think it's something they're going for a waiver. I think if staff can just write a letter of support to parcel piece down by the King County line.
Gotcha.
And it's a petition annexation. It's 2 parcels and it's met the 60% criteria, which means both parcel owners have petitioned to annex into the city of Montlake Terrace. So the people that own the property want to go, there would be no impact to the RFA.
Gotcha. We already covered that area, or it's just very small and, okay. All right, that's what I understood from the email, but wanted to confirm. All right, Snow 911, Commissioner Fernohoff.
Yeah, Snow 911 Board has not met. They will meet this week on March 21st at 8:30 a.m. The location for this, for any physical attendance, will be the Everett Police Department at 1121 Southeast Everett Mall Way. Other than that, you can zoom in, and that's all I have for my report. Thank you.
What was the date?
That will be March 21st, this Thursday.
Oh. All right, thank you very much. Commissioner comments? Are there any comments? All right, Commissioner Chan.
Yeah, well, last week, it's a hit my, what I call perfect storm. So we have, remember, we have the escort of Taiwan, come to training. And then also on the, some of you might have heard on the Thursday, the Asian Service Center, and we were, I think somebody see the article that I really thank both Chief Hovers and Chief Eastman were there. They were sitting right next to the mayor of Edmonds, and there's a lot of other elected officials in there, and that was a really good, successful. I just have to tell people that in the court of the regular court, you get, if you have any defense, you can, if you have you get wrong, you get appeal. But on the court of opinions, there's not. So once you get the name is, it's permanent. And the group from the Taiwan somehow they Google it and get my name and get out the open mic situations. And that's really sad. And Sandy, I did not show up on the Friday. They didn't. I asked her, can I go up there and explain the situation? Oh, no. So anyway, so just be careful. Just a warning for everyone. Thank you.
Commissioner Chan, I know you would want to mention that Miss Blankenship was at the
Oh, yeah.
meal event as well.
Yes, Blankenship were there too. And I see you guys are really able to socializing the rest of the people in the Edmonds. I think that was great. Thank you for showing up.
Any further commissioner comments? All right, then we will move into executive session pursuant to RCW 42.30.110, section 1, section G. Review the performance of a public employee. We'll initial time of 30 minutes.
Pretty good, huh?
Yes, before we start, we'll take, let's do 10 minutes just so that everybody gets down to the restroom and grab coffee. Thank you.
And you're not expecting.
There's a possibility of action, but I don't need, well, let's just leave it open. Yeah.
The executive session has been extended by 30 minutes. The executive session has been expended by 15 minutes.
Meeting's called back to order at 10:55 PM and without objection, we are, oh, I'm sorry, 9:55 PM and without objection, we are adjourned.